guys, welcome back to Shoney Small Engines. Have the Stihl MS180C brought into me today, and the complaint hard to keep running. Also, when it's running, if they're cutting on its side, it would die out on them. Generally speaking, I usually check to see if there's fuel in there, and they said it doesn't matter if it's fuel low or high. Also, I see a lot of dirt going on around here and dust that isn't really helping the situation. So I'm going to show you real quick what it's doing and see if we can get to the bottom of it. Shouldn't be too difficult in my opinion, but you know, we'll see. I'll start it up real quick and give you an idea of what's going on. All right, so I can't get it to stay running, and it'll just die off real quickly as even if I try to feather the throttle. So right off the bat, we're going to dig in. It does tell me it's got compression, does a spark. Another way you can check for some compression is how much resistance the pull cord has, which it does have pretty much. If that just dropped straight down as I lift it up, that would be a little bit more concerning. And then if that did just drop down, or I couldn't get it to idle, I would pull the exhaust off and just take a peek at the piston. But I don't think that's the case here. I checked the fuel. It is two-stroke fuel, and it does have pretty good compression. We know we have spark because it started right up. So let's probably dig in and take a look at the carburetor. This cover out of the way. Right off the bat, I can see a lot of dirt in here. Not good for your machines. Get caked around the engine, can overheat. Also, I can see inside here in the intake here a lot of dirt. So my guess is probably going to be a dirty carburetor, and we'll take a look at it and see if we can get down to the bottom of it. So take this air filter out of the way. Very dirty. Again, dirty on the outside is fine. You know, that's normal. We clean that up. But if that's dirty and it's dirty on the inside here, that means we're getting a lot of dirt down into the carburetor. So we gotta get these 8mm nuts out of the way, and that airbox should come off. And there's our carburetor. Again, extremely dirty. Before I even pull this apart, I'm gonna do a quick blow some air through here and get this all somewhat cleaned up. I'm gonna clean the whole entire machine anyway, because that's not gonna help us with the running situation. All right, that's a little bit better. Now to get the throttle linkage off, I got to take 20 Torx bit, take these two screws out. Just got to take the side of this cover off. And this guy should just pop off there. Okay, now we can get to this linkage a little bit better. There we go. I'm just going to put this back on temporarily. I gotta go back in there and eventually. So it's gonna just to keep everything in place. Let's throw those guys back in now. Like I said, now we can get the leakage out, and now we've got the choke arm out. So we gotta get those guys out of the way. We'll pull this out here. I want to release some pressure from the gas tank. So pop this fuel line off so fuel doesn't go everywhere. Get that, push it out of the way. Now we need to pry up on this choke mechanism and slide that guy out. And set that out of the way too. And then we should be able to slide the carburetor off. There we go. All right, a little bit of a maze to get that apart, but you know, take your time, be careful, don't force anything. Things should come off pretty easily. All right, here's our carburetor. I want to take a look at this, and also I can even see dirt inside the intake here. Not good. Don't want to do that to your engine. It's not scratched up, I can see, but it's dirty in there. So we're gonna have to do a good cleaning on that. But first, let's take a look at the carburetor. So we'll go to the pump kind of side. So like some valves in here that lets fuel in and out. Surprisingly, the fuel screen not clogged, but I do have some grime in here. Gaskets looking a little rough, a little dirty. Let's look at the diaphragm on the other side. That's starting to get a little bit hard. Pull this jet out and take a look inside that, see if anything's going through that. Well, then we'll give this a real good cleaning and probably replace the fuel filter. I can see through that jet, so that's good. Let's spray this down with some carb cleaner. All right, that's looking a little bit better. I want to check to see if the needle is working. Yep, that's working pretty good. I just force a little bit of air through here and open and close the needle, and it's getting air through, so that's good. All right, let's put the jet back in so we don't forget that. And now I'm going to go check and see if I have these gaskets in stock. Again, these aren't terrible. Probably could get away with it, but you know, if it's not running real well and I'm in here, we're going to replace them. And you can see they're starting to get a little old. This one's getting warped. All right, I do have a kit here. It looks slightly different, but they are exactly the same. Just a different material. This one I think is a little bit more hardier towards non-ethanol fuels, or towards ethanol fuel. But I recommend non-ethanol fuel. Also, the diaphragms look slightly different, but they are the same. This one has the holes in it, but they're not being used in this machine. Okay, so that'll work. And then our pump gasket. So we'll get rid of those. I'm also going to use new fuel screen. We'll take the other one out. Show you how to do that. There's a bunch of other parts in this kit. You know, the rocker arm, the needle, but it just most times I don't really have a problem with those unless the carburetor is really, really bad. And even at that point, I don't think might not be worth saving because that check valve goes bad and you know you end up having to replace the carb anyway. So we'll set that aside for now. Let's pop this screen out. There we go. It's actually in really good shape, but since we're in here, we're going to replace it. Set that in place like that. Use the back of a 1/4 inch bit. Put it in place. Even. All right, now we're going to put the pump side back on. Gasket goes down onto the plate first. Then this piece, those dowel pins are going to go in place. And then we'll throw the cover on. I always tighten these by hand. I'll put them in with the impact, but I tighten it with hand because I don't want to strip anything out. We'll put the gasket down first, then the diaphragm, and then our plate here. Snug those quick. All right, so now we have a new pump, new diaphragm, and a new fuel screen. So we'll get those to the side. I want to clean the air filter real quick. It's a little better. Probably would recommend replacing this. I'll talk to the customer. I'd have to order that though. So now we know the carb's in good shape. Air filter's clean. I want to clean the air box, and I want to replace the fuel filter. A lot of gunk in there. You want to make sure that your chain is nice and sharp, or you're gonna get a lot of more dust instead of chips, and the dust will collect and go through the air filter and get into your carburetor and engine. So something to keep an eye on. All right, let's get down to the fuel filter. Take a look at that. Pretty good shape, but my fuel lines are starting to get a little old. All right, you can put an aftermarket fuel filter on there if you want. This one's actually, I can breathe right through it after cleaning it, so I'm not even going to replace that. You could get away with replacing that. But if you can't get any air through that or anything, you could just put on like an aftermarket one. Just make sure you have a good seal there at your fuel line. Okay, so not too concerned with that. Gas tank looks pretty clean. Let's get that back in there. Hopefully it sits on the bottom. Yep, there we go. Put the gas cap back on. All right, I want to see if I can get this thing to start after putting this all back together, and if it does, then I'm going to go ahead and take this cover off and get down to the engine a little bit better and give it a really good cleaning. So let's reverse this whole process. We'll start by getting the carb back on. So let's put the carb on. We'll put the fuel line on right away. So something like that. And then we'll put our choke on. Pull this tab out of the way. Pop that in place. There we go. Put this little arm in then for the choke. Just got to kind of put it on throttle in place. Okay, now remove this handle again so we can put the throttle linkage. So this goes underneath, down underneath. If I push the throttle down, we can get this in a little bit easier. There we go. And then pop this off a second, put that through. And pop it back on. Make sure it goes in that groove like it's supposed to. And that goes under there. There we go. Okay. Keep that in place. We'll put the cover back on. Handle grip on. Now our airbox will go next. Make sure that clicks in place like it's supposed to. We have 2 8mm nuts. Then our air filter. And then our air box, but I'm going to clean that out real quick too. Slides down over top. Put the choke out of the way. There we go. And lock that in place. All right. Might take me a couple pulls to get it primed. Or right away. All right, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to sharpen the chain and stuff for this guy, but that sounds pretty good. It revs real good. I don't need to adjust anything. It idles well. If you have any questions, guys, hit me up in the comments. Take apart this cover real quick, get a good cleaning in here to get that nice and good airflow through there. Even got some chips going on here. I don't even know what this stuff is. Anyway, hit me up in the comments if you have any questions. If this helps you out, let me know. You can check out some other videos here. You can check out my channel there, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching, guys.